Jagannath Puri, Neelachaladam ki jai. Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maharani ki jai. Shishi Gaunitai ki jai. Shishi Radha Sharat Bihari ki jai. Shishi Radha Madan Mohan ki jai. Bhakti Devi Tulsi Devi ki jai. Jamuna Mai Ganga Mai ki jai. Samveda Bhakti Vrinda ki jai. Harinama Sankirtan ki jai. Sankirtan Jagna ki jai. Transcendental Book Distribution ki jai. Go Premanandi Hari Hari Bo. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Guru, Shri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 We're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, chapter 10, text 9 and 10. Subhadra Draupadi Kunti Virata Tanaya Tata Gandhari Dhartarashtrascha Yutsur Gautamo Yama Vikodarascha Domyascha Striyo Matsya Sutadaya Nasehire Vimuyanto Viraham Sanga Dhanvana Subhadra Draupadi Kunti Virata Tanaya Tata Gandhari Dhritaratrascha Yuyutsur Gautamo Yama Vikodarascha Domyascha Striyo Matsya Sutadaya Nasehire Vimuyanto Viraham Saranga Dhanvana Subhadra Draupadi Kunti Virata Tanaya Tata Gandhari Dhritarashtrascha Yuyutsur Gautamo Yama Vikodarascha Domyascha Striyo Matsya Sutadaya Nasehire Vimuyanto Viraham Saranga Dhanvana. Someone else?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Kavaya Prabhu.
Subhadra Draupadi Kunti Virata Tanaya Tatha Gandhari Dhritarashtrascha Yuyutsur Gautamo Yamo Vrakodarascha Domyascha Striyo Matsya Sutadaya Nasehire Vimuyanto Viraham Saranga Dhanvanaha.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Subhadra Draupadi Kunti Virata Tanaya Tata Gandhari Dhritarashtrascha Yuyutsur Gautamo Yamo Vrikodarascha Damyascha Strityo Matya Sutadaya Nasiher Vimuyanto Viraham Saringa Danvanaha. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Haribol, thank you.
Subhadra Draupadi Kunti Virata Tanaya Tata Gandhari Dhritarashtrascha Yutsur Gautamo Yamo Vrikodarascha Daumyascha Striyo Matsya Sutadhara Nasere Vimuhyanto Viraham Saranga Dhanvana. Hare Krishna.
Haribol.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Subhadra Draupadi Kunti Virata Tanaya Tataha Gandhari Dhritarashtrascha Yuyutsur Gautamo Yamau Vrkodarascha Damyascha Striyo Matsya Sutadaya Nasehire Vimuhyanto Viraham Saranga Dhanvanaha. Hare Krishna.
Haribol.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Subhadra Draupadi Kunti Virata Taniya Tatha Gandhari Dhritarashtrascha Yuyutshar Gautamo Imau Vrikodarascha Dhaumascha Triyo Matsya Shutada Nashihiri Vimuanto Vidaham Shrangadhanavana. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mati.
Subhadra Draupadi Kunti Virat Tanaya Tatha Gandhari Dhritarashtrascha Yuyut Surgautamo Yamo Vikodarascha Dhaumyascha Striyo Matsya Sutadayaha Nasehire Vimohayanto Viraham Saranga Dhanvanaha. Hare Krishna.
You go.
Subhadra Draupadi Kunti Virata Tanaya Tatha Gandhari Dhritarashtrascha Yuyutsur Gautamo Yamo Vrikodarascha Dhaumyascha Striyo Matsya Sutadaya Nasahire Vimuhyanto Viraham Sharanga Dhanvana.
Hare Krishna. Anyone else? Word for word. Subhadra, the sister of Krishna, Draupadi, the wife of the Pandavas, Kunti, the mother of the Pandavas, Virata, Tanaya, the daughter of Virata, Uttara, Tata, also Gandhari, the mother of Duryodhana, Dhritarashtra, the father of Duryodhana, Cha, and Yuyutshu, the son of Dhritarashtra, by his Vaishya wife, Gautama, Kripacharya, Yamao, the twin brothers Nakula and Sahadeva, Vikodara, Bhima, Cha and Dhaumya, Cha and Striya, also other ladies of the palace, Matsya Adaya, the daughter of a fisherman, Satyavati, Bhishma's stepmother, could not, Sehire, tolerate, Vimuyanta, almost fainting, Vidaham, separation, Saranga Dhanvana, of Shri Krishna who bears a conch in his hand. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. At that time, Subhadra, Draupadi, Kunti, Uttara, Gandhari, Dhritarashtra, Yutsu, Kripacharya, Nakula, Sahadev, Bhimasena, Dhaumya, and Satyavati all nearly fainted because it was impossible for them to bear separation from Lord Krishna. Report. Lord Shri Krishna is so attractive for the living beings, especially for the devotees, that it is impossible for them to tolerate separation. The conditioned soul under the spell of illusory energy forgets the Lord, otherwise he cannot. The feeling of such separation cannot be described, but it can simply be imagined by devotees only. After his separation from Vrndavan and the innocent rural cowherd boys, girls, ladies, and others, they all felt shock throughout their lives. And the separation of Radharani, the most beloved cowherd girl, is beyond expression. Once they met at Kurukshetra during a solar eclipse, and the feeling which was expressed by them is heartening, heart-rending. There is, of course, a difference in the qualities of the transcendental devotees of the Lord, but none of them who have ever contacted the Lord by direct communion or otherwise can leave him for a moment. That is the attitude of the pure devotee. Om Agyanati Mirandasya Jananjanandalaksakaya Chaksumiritam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruveda Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Upagadamaya Tadate Swapadantekam. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Go Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So the subject matter of this purport especially is very difficult and confidential within Krishna consciousness, as explained to us by Srila Prabhupada, because it's talking about the mood of separation from Krishna, which for us, as Srila Prabhupada says in the purport, it is very difficult to understand, practically impossible to understand for neophyte devotees and even us who are sadhakas trying to practice Krishna consciousness. It's not that easy to understand. So in the beginning of the purport, Srila Prabhupada talks about the all-attractive nature of Krishna. I was just finishing the fourth canto, and it's describing about about Prithu Maharaj. So here's a nice reference from that particular part of the Bhagavatam about the beauty of Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th canto, 20th chapter, text 37. Lord Vishnu's appearance in the sacrificial arena of Maharaj Prithu. Translation: the infallible Supreme Personality of Godhead, having captivated the minds of the king and the priest who were present, returned to his abode in the spiritual sky. Purport: because the Supreme Personality of Godhead is all spiritual, he can descend from the spiritual sky without changing his body, and thus he is known as Achyuta, or infallible. When a living entity falls down to the material world, however, he has to accept a material body, and therefore in his material embodiment, he cannot be called Achyuta, because he falls down from his real engagement in the service of the Lord. And the living entity gets a material body to suffer or try to enjoy in the miserable material conditions of life. Therefore, the fallen living entity is Chuta, whereas the Lord is called Achyuta. The Lord was attractive for everyone, not only the king, but also the priestly order, who were very much addicted to the performance of Vedic rituals. Because the Lord is all attractive, he is called Krishna, or one who attracts everyone. So this is very interesting, how Krishna attracts everyone. But how do we square that? Because we see people, I'm looking outside this window right now, I see cars going up and down the street. I see school buses going up and down the street. I see people moving here and there. Can we say that they're attracted to Krishna? But it says here that everyone's attracted to Krishna. So we have to try to understand this a little bit if we can. Everyone is attracted to Krishna. Now, of course, Krishna says, you know that all beautiful, wonderful things they spring from a spark of my splendor. Everything is coming from Krishna's beauty. The beauty of the sun, the beauty of the moon, the beauty of the night sky, the beauty of the day sky, the beauty of the grass, the beauty of the houses, the beauty of the trees. It's all a reflection of Krishna's beauty. So in one sense, everything is Krishna. As it says in the famous Chatur Sloki of the Srimad Bhagavatam, the first one of those sloks, Krishna says, in the beginning was I. And he's explaining this to Lord Brahma. In the beginning was only me. And at the end, there will only be me. So within the middle is only Krishna. Because we know Lord Brahma, when he had to take up the service of engineering the universe, creating everything in the universe, Krishna's telling him, there's only me. You have nothing to use but me. Just like if you go to a construction site and you're supposed to build a building and there's nothing there, no wood, no nails, no machines, no hammers, how are you going to do it? So when Brahma first came, that was the situation. He had nothing. He's sitting on the lotus flower looking around. What? He had no knowledge in what to do. So we know he went down the lotus stem, he heard the sound tapa, he did his austerity, and Krishna blessed him, gave him the understanding. But this is how Krishna explained it to him. In the beginning, it's just me. And at the end, it's just me. In other words, there's nothing but him. So all you have, Brahma, is me. So all we have in this world is Krishna. The problem is we forget. We forget who we are. We forget who Krishna is. And what to speak of seeing or appreciating his beauty. Even Krishna could stand before you. If without his mercy, you still would not be able to understand. We know that's the case in the Srimad Bhagavatam and Krishna book. Many persons could not understand. Even Brahma, even Lord Brahma, after being revealed by Krishna, the spiritual world, and given so much instruction, and then Brahma giving the Brahma Samhita so many wonderful things. When Krishna came as a little boy, Brahma did not recognize him. That's why we have the pastime, Brahma Vimoha Lila. Because Brahma could not fathom that the Krishna, the Lord that has shown me the spiritual world and explained all these things, this little boy, I don't know. Let me test it. That's how he tested it, to actually see if this is really my Lord. We know at the end of that pastime, Brahma really understood, my Lord is so powerful. My Lord is so wonderful. So what to speak of all these people as I'm describing, looking at them? How can you say that Krishna is attractive to everyone? Because he is. He's all attractive. What does Srila Prabhupada say? Because the Lord is all attractive, he's called Krishna, the one who attracts everyone. I reflect on how in the distributing Srila Prabhupada's books, and especially the old, well, not the old, but the original Krishna book volumes, the very big ones. And that was not easy to distribute because you're showing this picture of a bluish person with a whitish female. And they're going, people look like confused. What is this, And then when they look at Krishna, they say, is he a man or a woman? I can't figure this out. What's going on here? Then we say he's all attractive. He's attractive to women. He's attractive to men. And we don't go much further than that because that's a lot for people to comprehend. But he's attractive to the land. He's attractive to the cows. He's attractive to the flowers. All attractive. It doesn't mean just to the human form. Everyone's attracted to Krishna. What is that nice little pastime? The bamboo rods. They're all talking, saying, our son, the bamboo rod, is so fortunate that he's touching the lips of Krishna. Krishna is playing the bamboo flute. So all the other bamboos, they're all glorifying this bamboo rod is touching Krishna. So they're discussing amongst themselves the fabulous beauty and manifestation of Krishna, which is the real purpose of life, to discuss amongst ourselves the glories of Krishna. Otherwise, we'll be attracted to Krishna, yes, but we won't know it's Krishna. We'll be attracted to the beauty of a woman, or the woman be attracted to the handsomeness of a man, or their children, or whatever. And then we forget this is all Krishna. Now, Srila Prabhupada, and again, I was very fortunate to hear him directly say this in Vrndavan, Krishna Balaram Temple in 1976. And he's describing how Krishna's everywhere. Krishna's everything. And I'm sure devotees like myself, being junior, we're just kind of a little bewildered. So Prabhupada, in his characteristically clear and concise manner, he gave us an example that we could understand. He said, you, just like you take care of the deity on the altar because you think here is Krishna. Now we do, especially in our neophyte condition. That is so important for us to perform deity worship. I'm not saying that it's not important later on, but in the very beginning it's most important. So we can focus our attention on pleasing Krishna, decorating Krishna. Srila Prabhupada said one time, the more you decorate Krishna, the more beautiful you become. Everything becomes more beautiful by decorating Krishna. So when Prabhupada was trying to explain this to us in that Bhagavatam class in the beautiful Krishna Balaram temple, so he said, you worship the deity because you think here is Krishna, but you don't take care of the floor because you don't realize here is Krishna. Like, wow. I never heard him say it like that. And I heard Prabhupada speak several times up to that point. In Philadelphia, in Atlanta, in Chicago, I've heard him speak several times. But when he said that, it was like a lightning wave, boom. And it just blasted through our ignorance. We're in the temple and we're jumping and dancing and singing, here is Krishna, Hari Hari Bol. And then the moment I come in your presence, I say, you knucklehead, you this or you that, I don't like this, blah, 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 because I'm forgetting Krishna's presence. What What to speak of his beauty? I can't even perceive his presence. And he's everywhere. So Prabhupada's saying, you see on the altar, because there's Krishna, beautiful decorations, Radharani, so nice. But you don't see Krishna on the floor. Therefore, you don't take care of the floor as if it's Krishna. Therefore, I don't respect you as if Krishna's in your body. Oh, I respect the deities. Oh, of course. I'll bring donations. I will do service on the altar. But when it comes to you, I have to, I have to judge whether I like you or don't like you or this, that, and the other. Now, of course, within the course of human life or regular life, we have ups and downs. But whose fault is it if we forget Krishna? It's our fault because he's everywhere. My dear senior godbrother, Rupanuga Prabhu, I remember so many of his wonderful classes, but generally he would always talk about this, seeing Krishna. He said, what is your problem? And he would look like that. He's a very serious devotee. Actually, he was one of the oldest devotees in the movement at the time the movement started. He said, what is your problem? You don't see Krishna? He's right here. He's right there. He's in it. We were like looking around trying to see Krishna. But he was saying he's in everyone's heart. He's in every atom. Wake up. Jeev Jago Gauratana. Wake up. See Krishna. Why are we unhappy? Because we're not remembering Krishna is everywhere. What to speak of his beauty? So then when we come to the platform of being able to appreciate his beauty, which is unfathomable, unlimited, nothing can compare. Nothing can compare to Krishna's beauty. It's described that there's a flower. What is that flower? I can't think of the name of it now. This flower has the color of Krishna. I actually have it in my notes, but I don't have it with me right now. And then I looked up this flower on the internet, and the color of that flower is unbelievably just beautiful, bluish color, like Krishna. And it says that the flower resembles Krishna's beauty. So then we start thinking how to appreciate Krishna's beauty. We can appreciate Krishna in everything in his creation, that's for sure. It's all manifested from him. But his Shyam Sundar threefold bending form, Rupa Goswami, he says that the perfection of the eyes is to see Krishna and Balaram entering the forest of Vrndavan. Can you imagine that? I'll answer that for you. Practically, we can't. But we should start meditating on that, holding the image of Krishna in our hearts, in our minds. Whichever picture you like, there's so many paintings. Look at this one painting above my head, Radha and Krishna swinging. So beautiful. Such a lovely painting. So then throughout my day, if I'm smart, I can remember this painting. There's one painting of Krishna that I love so much. And then whenever I get crazy during the day and I just start spacing out and get lusty after something and distracted, I bring that image into my mind. Now, I'm fascinated how I can see something within my mind. That's fascinating. If you stop and analyze that, how is that possible? Close your eyes and then, is there a picture right in front of you? Somehow or another, I can see that picture. There's several pictures. There's one picture of Krishna, and he's standing on a lotus flower in the middle of I guess this is Jamuna, and behind him, there are waterfalls. I can't remember, it's 2 or 3. I think it's 3 waterfalls behind Krishna. And he's got these dimples, really nice dimples, and he's smiling. And the waterfalls are behind him and the trees. And if you look real close, you see the cows and this and that. So when I get lost in my nonsense, I think of that picture. And then there's a picture of Krishna standing with the really dark color, very dark color. And he's standing and Radharani is next to him. And he's looking at her like that. So beautiful. And as I'm describing it to you right now, my Maya is going away. Krishna Surya Sama Maya Haya Andaka. So this Maya cannot stand when Krishna is there. So if any of us, I include myself, if we get confused about the goal, the purpose of life, hold that image of Krishna in your heart and chant his holy names. What's one of the most effective ways to remember Krishna? Srila Prabhupada says, chant Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. You chant Hare Krishna, and immediately Krishna comes back. here's an old Sankirtan trick. We would, we meaning all the Sankirtan devotees from the 70s, including Vaishya Sika Prabhu, because he was living with us in Atlanta, like Katma Swabas, who's the president of Los Angeles, and then Tripurari, and I can list a whole bunch of all these amazing devotees that I was blessed to be in their presence and to be trained by them in preaching. So we had a process, and that process was follow the instructions of Srila Prabhupada and how to see the deity, starting in Mangal Arti. So when the curtains open, we would look at the lotus feet of the Lord, because that's what Prabhupada says. Like, you start at the lotus feet. Look at the lotus feet, look at the knees and calves and thighs and waist and chest, and then the lotus face of the Lord. So that was just Mangal Arti. And then, chant all your japa and then the Bhagavatam class. But then when the greeting of the deities came, then our process was really look at all the fine jewelry and the headdress and the decorations. And then when you're out on Sankirtan, especially, it's good to always have a partner when you're on Sankirtan. Okay, when Maya starts to attack, you can talk to your partner. So then on Sankirtan, when we get a little spaced out toward the middle of the day, we start talking about what the deities were wearing that morning, the color of the outfit, the style of the outfit, the backdrop, the turban, the crowns, everything. In Atlanta, we had this one devotee, Giri Varam, he's from Peru. And when he decorated Lord Jagannath's turbans, I've never seen anyone decorate turbans like that, ever. Just unbelievably beautiful. So then when we're out in the world being attacked by all this chaos, we think about those beautiful turbans, beautiful crowns, and Maya goes away. So just thinking of the beauty of Krishna, because we've been blessed by Srila Prabhupada with these windows to the spiritual world, which are the paintings. Windows to the spiritual world. We've been blessed to come into the spiritual world through these paintings and see the spiritual world and see Krishna in all his beauty. Wonderful artists, devotees have done an amazing job. So now all we have to do is remember these beautiful forms of the Lord. So then Maya cannot touch us in that respect. Then, if we absorb ourselves in devotional service, then we can come to what Prabhupada talks about next, which is a feeling of separation. Now, this is above, way above my pay grade, and I hope all of you realize the same thing. This is not an easy thing to comprehend, to even talk about, the feeling of separation. In the mundane world, there's a phrase that says, absence makes the heart grow fonder. Now, we can identify with that. Just like, when you have a girlfriend or a boyfriend and they're not there and you just always feel sad and can't wait to be with them and da. So the love is increasing by the absence of that person. Absence makes the heart grow fonder. And I remember when I first was exposed to the idea of separation from Krishna, that was the thing that came to my mind. And I heard several devotees give classes and use that as a reference point. Because I don't understand truly the separation from Krishna. The closest thing for me is the separation from Srila Prabhupada, and especially upon his leaving, as in Krishna leaving the residence. So Prabhupada left us physically. He's there in his books. We know that, Vani Vapu. We know the Vani is more important, but the pain is still there, the separation from the Vapu, the physical form of Prabhupada, singing and dancing and preaching and crying and playing Madanga and chastising and correcting. On that note, I remember in New York, 1978, I believe, Rath Yatra, and the very famous musician Alice Coltrane, the wife of John Coltrane, even more famous. John Coltrane was an influence on Sasur Maharaj because he was a jazz person and Sasur Maharaj is into jazz and all that. So the wife of John Coltrane was a very famous lady, and she went to see Prabhupada in Vrndavan. So in the New York temple, they featured her in the temple room. She did a little concert for the devotees and the deities, and she played an organ and a harp and all that. Very amazing. And I was fortunate that night I got to play Madanga while she was doing music. So she was describing her interactions with Srila Prabhupada. And she said he was smiling, he was this, he was that. And then she said, and he was chastising. She remembered that Prabhupada was chastising, correcting some devotees. So it's like that, we don't quite understand the depth of this idea of separation. So for me, when I think of separation, I think of Srila Prabhupada missing his physical presence, correcting devotees, inspiring devotees, leading the movement, dancing, so many things. Now, how do we process that in terms of Krishna? So let's look at a nice reference from the Adi Leela. And I know time is running short, so I won't take too much time. Adi Leela, chapter 13, text 39. It says, Dwadasha Vatsara Sesha Vahila Nila Chale Premavasta Shikaila Asvadana Chale. For the remaining 12 years, he stayed in Jagannath Puri. He taught everyone how to taste the transcendental mellow of ecstasy, love of Krishna, by tasting it himself. A person who, this is the purport, a person who is advanced in Krishna consciousness always feels separation from Krishna, because such a feeling of separation excels the feeling of meeting Krishna. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in his last 12 years of existence within this world at Jagannath Puri, taught the people of the world how, with a feeling of separation, one can develop his dormant love of Krishna. Such feelings of separation or meeting with Krishna are different stages of love of Godhead. These feelings develop in time when a person seriously engages in devotional service. The highest stage is called Prema Bhakti, but this stage is attained by executing Sadhana Bhakti. One should not try to elevate himself artificially to the stage of Prema Bhakti without seriously following the regulative principles of Sadhana Bhakti. Prema Bhakti is the stage of relishing, whereas Sadhana Bhakti is the stage of improving in devotional service. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught this cult of devotional service in full detail by practical application in his own life. It is said, therefore, apani achari bhakti sikayamu sabare. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself, and in the role of a Krishna Bhakta, a devotee of Krishna, he instructed the entire world how one can execute devotional service and thus go back home, back to Godhead in due course of time. So the very important thing for us here is to understand the importance of our sadhana and how we should focus on our sadhana. Everything else, leave it to Krishna. Don't try to imitate, don't try to jump too fast, don't try to be what we're not. We're not, at least for me, big advanced devotee, Mahabhagavad, all this. No, we're sadhana bhaktas and we're practicing devotional service. We're striving as quickly as possible to come to the Majjhima Adhikari platform, because on that platform, you won't fall down. On the neophyte platform, you may fall down because you're not strong. The faith is not strong. Majjhima Adhikari, faith is absolutely strong, may not have all the shastric wisdom, but absolute faith, period, end of story. You cannot shake that person's faith. That's what we really want. We want to come to that nishta, that firm faith in the words of Srila Prabhupada, in the mission of Krishna consciousness. Very, very powerful. And then everything else by Krishna's grace will come. The different stages will come progressively by the grace of the Lord. So I know time is short, but I did want to share the last part of the purport, which is the pastime of the residents of Vrndavan seeing Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada in Hawaii, he described this pastime very beautifully in the Loom conversation. So it says real quickly, Prabhupada, this Rath Yatra is in memory of Krishna's coming here with his brother and sister during one eclipse to take bath coming from Dwaraka. And the devotee says, and the gopis also assembled there, Prabhupada. The gopis got the information that Krishna is coming from Dwaraka. So from Vrindavan, they went to see him. And when Krishna and Radharani met, the Radharani lamented that Krishna, he was the same Krishna and the same Radharani. So this is not a good meeting, not a good meeting place. So if you come to Vrindavan, this is Radharani. So if you come to Vrindavan, then how shall be happy? So it is inviting Krishna to Vrindavan. That is the feeling of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Rath Yatra. He is inviting Krishna to Vrindavan. So in Jagannath Puri, still the same feelings are there. Krishna, Jagannath, from the temple goes to Gundicha. So Lakshmi is angry. That quote, Krishna is leaving me. He has gone to Vrindavan, end quote. So she is punishing. That is called Hera Panchami. punishing the servants of Krishna. The maidservants of Lakshmi chastising them, threatening them, quote, why without permission? Prabhupada laughs. So they, out of very fearful condition, offering their respect to Lakshmi, mother, you don't be sorry. I'm here in this thing. So this is the play performed, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's associates, they saw, and they enjoyed very much when the maidservant of Lakshmi was slapping the servant of Vishnu. That is mentioned Chaitanya Charitamrita. All the servants arrested, brought before Lakshmi, and they are punished. Then Prabhupada laughs again. But they came to invite Krishna, Radharani, and other gopis. And actually, they do not go at that time. But this Rath Yatra ceremony means Krishna's coming from Dwarka to Kurukshetra. This is the history of Rath Yatra. So I think I'll stop there and see if we have any points of discussion or any questions or comments, clarifications. Haribo. So, Bharati, you there?
Yes, Prabhu, I'm here. If anybody has any questions, please just unmute yourself. And Goloknanda Mataji, please go ahead.
Oh, Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Obeisances. Thank you very much for a wonderful class.
Thank you.
Once still, yeah, you have to see Krishna. I'm just thinking we always mention that the neophyte need to see Krishna, worship Krishna more. So we see in the life of the Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, Rupa Goswami, and Jiva, they all have personal deities. They were always, even they were, Paramahamsas, they were exalted. So they were still like worshipping the deities. So what do you think about it? And I have a second question related. You were telling about we have to see everything related to Krishna, the flow, the paraphernalia, and everything had to be clean. So I've been doing daily worship for years. So I've seen that this is kind of most of the temple, some devotees, they are very much pay attention, but many devotees, they just want to come and dress the deities and just leave, they just want to decorate the deities and leave. And they don't take the time, to keep Krishna's paraphernalia or cleaning Krishna's, floor or the extension of the pujari room or the, and I can see, that is lacking. So how can we help devotees, like encourage devotees that this also is important. So who does that, temples, who encourage the pujaris, like who regularly doing this daily worship. This is also very important.
Yeah. Well, to your first point about the deity, the story of Sanatana Goswami and Madan Mohan. So he's worshiping the deity under a tree or in a tree, something like that. And he's making some dry chapati because he didn't have a rolling pin. He didn't have anything. He's just taking, pat it out and put it on the fire and then give it to the deity. So the deity said, what is this? At least you can put some salt. At least make it nice. He said, you keep quiet. I have no salt. I have nothing. You take what I'm giving you. Now, this is the point. He's having this relationship with the deity, okay? The elevated platform of the Mahabhagavata with the deity is different from our platform. In our platform, we're worshiping Krishna as Lakshmi Narayan. We're seeing Krishna, Shyamasundar, Radharani, and all that. But Srila Prabhupada said, our standard in our condition is like Lakshmi Narayan. Why? So we remain focused on the grandeur of Krishna. These Mahabhagavata devotees, they can put the deity in their pocket, they can put it on their neck, they can put it in a tree, they tell the deity, keep quiet. You take what I give you. We cannot do that. You go to Surat Bihari, say, listen, I'm giving you only one chapati today, okay? The cooks are busy, they don't have time, just one chapati. You take it, be happy. Don't even try that for a second. We should go with so much awe and reverence and respect, and we stand before the deity. But the acharyas, the great devotees, they have a different way of worshiping because they're seeing what we're not seeing. They're actually seeing Krishna. My godbrother Charudeshan Prabhu, such a wonderful devotee, he gave a class one day. He said, you think when the curtains close The deities are doing nothing but standing there. Why are we so crazy? Krishna's having his pastimes there. Lord Chaitanya is having his pastimes there. Jagannath's having his pastimes there. So some of us can begin to see Krishna beyond all the spectacle. And let me take the word spectacle out. That sounds a little harsh. Beyond all the grandeur, the great, great devotees can see Krishna in his true form, however he's decorated. But for us, we need to have a higher standard of worship. To your second point about devotees not being attentive, my encouragement would be read Prabhupada's books more. Because if you read the books sincerely, Prabhupada will guide you in those books, his books, how to increase your appreciation for being allowed to be in the temple. I mean, just to come onto the property, think about how fortunate we are. When I came onto the property in 1972 or 3, I had no idea where I was. In fact, I was afraid. I smelled incense, I heard bells. I said, where the heck am I? What is this place? But then after I was exposed to the philosophy, I began to understand the moment I step on that property, I'm in the spiritual world. And at that time, the temple was on a place called 13th Street in Midtown Atlanta. And I used to work very close to the temple, and I walked through all the chaos. Then I come to the temple, and there it is. This building on 13th Street, this is building, but now I'm in a spiritual place. How did it become a spiritual place? Because of my consciousness, the consciousness of the devotees, transforming that place into Vaikuntha. So Mataji, I always encourage devotees, study Prabhupada's books, study Srila Prabhupada's example. Then you'll understand. And you do it regularly, because Srinvata Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana, that auspicious Punya Shravana, hearing Srinvata Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana, Ridyantastu Yabhadrani, that Krishna's in your heart. And that stuff, that whatever mess that's in our heart that's causing us to be inattentive, becomes gradually destroyed and wiped away. And Krishna lets us understand how important it is. Like you said, Mataji, keep everything spotlessly clean. But you need to hear from Prabhupada. If you hear from me, so that's just Balabhadra, or maybe that's just Dronacharya trying to get on my case, or this one or that one, or Sobarade. Yeah, you're just a board member. You just want to give me a hard time. No. Let Krishna in your heart, through Prabhupada's instructions, enlighten you. Then you understand every small thing. I have to tell this one quick little pastime. When I was in Atlanta as temple president, I used to get ready every year for the Rath Yatra, and we'd take a 2-week period and just go crazy cleaning. So one day I remember this. I was outside on the sidewalk that Srila Prabhupada walked on, and I was seeing all the little weeds coming up through the sidewalk. And I said, no, this is not good. So I got down on my little hands and knees, and I started picking out all the weeds and the little things and the little cracks to make it nice, thinking Prabhupada walked here. And I'm telling you, Mataji, that day was, I still have it in my heart, by paying full attention to the service. So my encouragement to devotees, read Prabhupada's books. You'll get everything you need, and then confirm what you read with the Vaishnavas. That's called Ishtagosti. Prabhupada said, you hear from the authorized source, spiritual topics, and then you share amongst each other, clarify, and make sure you understand. So I'll stop there. I didn't mean to go so late. Chovarati, do we have any more time?
If anybody has questions, definitely they can raise their hand and ask. Just on that point, I was thinking, there are a lot of people who show us by example. And I think that is a very good way. I mean, all of you show us, your senior disciples of Srila Prabhupada, you show us how to do it. And I'm a preschool teacher, so I'm always thinking one thing to do is when we admire only people who are in front and center, who are visible, then we are telling them that that's the only service that is important. This is at a mundane level. I accept that. It's not. But when we appreciate the pot washer equally to the pujari, then we are showing by example what Prabhupada has taught us. when we are, and just like you were saying, when we don't clean the floor, but we, because we don't think that belongs to Krishna too. If we say everything belongs to Krishna, then polishing the floor is equally beneficial to our spiritual development as deity worship is.
Wow.
But if we don't learn to see that Krishna is everywhere, not just on the altar at the temple, then we have accepted Prabhupada's instruction. So that was just something I was thinking is, if we acknowledge every service as being equal, then maybe people will be encouraged to take on. Otherwise, just the people who are visible are being appreciated, or it seems that way, then. But I think it is also introspection. It is something we all need to look within and see if we have done it or not.
Wow.
At the end, that is what. But like you said, reading Prabhupada's books continuously and being in association, I think, is the greatest help we can get. Dronacharya Prabhu has his hand up.
Hello, Dronacharya Prabhu. Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna Balabhadra Prabhu. Please accept my humble obeisances. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Very nice conversation. Very nice class. Thank you, and to all the devotees that are participating. This verse made me think of. So we have all these relatives and people that are dear to Krishna. So that they're fainting because they're going to be losing Krishna's presence, and never actually having that experience of fainting. But I think devotees can reflect a little bit on this idea of, and early when you said, going to the temple, for the first time or for the first couple times, you have this feeling of like, you just want to be there. Like, what makes it so special? And then I remember every time I would leave the temple, I would get this feeling of like emptiness. Sunday feast was over. I just wanted it to go on and on and on, because there was a feeling of emptiness, because I knew that I was going to be, removed from that association or just that experience that I wasn't going to have in the material, outside the temple in the material world. And just reflecting of how much shelter and solace is there, with Krishna.
Yes.
Sometimes we forget that, and looking at, and it's not just us that that experience that. This is the way that the Pandavas and Kripacharya and all the devotees that were being mentioned here, Sister Subhadra and Kunti, they were all experiencing that feeling of, I just want to be wherever Krishna is. And just a reflection that I had today. Thank you, Prabhu.
No, you made me think real quick, because I know we have a couple more questions and I had to share this. I don't know if I shared it here before, but there's a Mataji who joined in Atlanta many years ago, and she left and she became a member of the Black Hebrew Israelites, and then she converted to being a Jew, and then after 20-something years, I get a phone call from her from Jerusalem. This has just been a couple of weeks ago, from Jerusalem. I think, who has called me from Jerusalem? Happened to be this Mataji. And make a long story short, because she told me, she said, Balabhadra, after all this I've been through in life, becoming a Jew, she's African-American, so she converted, right? Becoming Jewish, whatever. I realized that I was in the right place when I was in the temple. And now she's reconnected. She had a friend come by and pick up japa beads and send it to her in Jerusalem. In the meantime, she put her own japa beads together and started chanting 16 rounds again. I'm thinking, wow. So Prabhupada says at the end of the purport, there is, of course, a difference in the qualities of the transcendental devotees of the Lord, but none of them who have ever contacted the Lord by direct communion or otherwise can leave him for a moment. So I thought about that. I said, Krishna's so merciful. Look at this. So now, by Krishna's grace, Karnika Devi Dasi is back in the association of devotees, because she could not forget that love that was there in the temple. So thank you for reminding me, Dawn. A couple more questions there. Is that Ritu? Haribol?
Haribol. Prabhuji Dandavat Haribol. So when you mentioned about Maya, but Maya, and you also mentioned that we should read Prabhupada book and that will guide us, more. But then in practical life right now, when you are dealing with family and also dealing with work, Maya actually attacks us a lot. Even with the family, like on weekends we go out. I'm not totally into that group there where I have all, bhakti people, like, all the Vaishnavas are there. I meet people who are not even Vaishnavas, who don't even believe in this thing. And it's really hard for me. Even I am controlling my onion garlic at home, but it's hard for me to actually practice it outside, because if you're going every time, you cannot tell them. Or sometimes it's a big discussion. I hate doing that because I don't want to be part of that discussion, because it's me, it's my choice, but it's really affecting. Sometimes it reflects my feelings and, my thoughts. So I don't know. I just need to understand, how to play a role
Yes.
in that situation.
Thank you for bringing that up, because there's so many things, and of course our time is limited, but I'm reflecting on my ex-wife's funeral that I just attended in Atlanta. Okay. And I had to be in the presence of all my old high school friends and community friends and her family. And I was meditating the whole time that Srila Prabhupada says that in these family relationships, we should always think, how can I give them Krishna? How? So I had to think, because I had to speak at her funeral. So I was meditating the whole time, Krishna, please allow me to say something about this person, Gloria, my ex-wife, in such a way that it will inspire the congregation. So she happened to have joined the movement with me when I joined in 1973. So what I told those people was, I said, listen, I'm telling you something I've never said publicly, is that I would not be who I am today without Gloria agreeing to join me in the Hare Krishna temple. So when I threw it out there, Hare Krishna temple, everyone's kind of like, I said, you all kind of remember that I joined the Hare Krishna. So I kept saying Hare Krishna, okay, without giving a Bhagavatam class or Bhagavad Gita class, and you're not this body. I just wanted to put Krishna's name out there. So Mataji, the secret is whenever you can, try to give exposure to whoever your family members are to Krishna, whatever circumstance. You have to pray for the opportunity, as Prabhupada prayed. Prabhupada prayed when he was arriving in America. He said, Lord, you have put everyone into ignorance, but you're the great mystic. You can also take them out. Therefore, I'm praying, my Lord, make my words suitable for them. And on the other point is that love your family, okay? Give them all the love and respect, like your husband, your kids, or your relatives. Show them love. I have a sister who's a Jehovah's Witness, totally nothing to do with any other religion in the world, but she loves me and I love her. We talk all the time and inspiring each other, encouraging each other. So don't neglect family relationships. In those family relationships, you try to bless them with whatever Krishna consciousness you have, Ritu. Maybe you don't have as much as another devotee. That doesn't matter. Whatever you have, you have. And then just be patient with yourself. You talked about the onion and the garlic and the this and that. I tell people, don't focus on that. Focus on Krishna. And that other stuff will gradually disappear. Nasta Prayasa Badresu. This is from the Srimad Bhagavatam for your reference. First canto, second chapter, I believe it's text 18. Nasta Prayasa Badresu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatu Timasloke Bhakti Bhavati Naistiki. So what that says is regularly attending classes on the Bhagavatam, okay, rendering service to the devotees, and all those inauspicious things in the heart will gradually disappear. You don't have to worry about it. You focus on Krishna consciousness. Krishna takes care of the rest. Be careful, don't do anything, too bad, but Krishna will gradually take those things out of your life. Last example, Prabhupada told Shyamasundar, I believe it was Shyamasundar, who was carving the first Jagannath deities, and he was still smoking cigarettes. He had a pack of cigarettes on Lord Jagannath's arm. That's how spaced out they were. Prabhupada walked in the room and he told them, such a small thing. Smoke one less cigarette every day and you'll be finished with this habit. He didn't say stop smoking cigarettes. Smoke one less every day, but keep serving Krishna and then that'll go away. So I hope that helps a little bit. I think
It
that's
did, actually. The
Thank
last
you.
example is really, really helpful for me.
Thank you. Thank you. Haribo.
Very good.
Zakotash.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Krishna Prabhupada.
Yeah, so thank you for your discourse for today. I'm just have a question. I wanted to know certain techniques of how can I give Krishna when associating with strangers, and to put it in a real context, like in a discussion way, when I ask, okay, because we are associating with a stranger, and sometimes they may be the people from the same place like India, sometimes they may not be. So that is the context to see. And then when I ask, like, because we are diverting the topic and trying to talk about more about spirituality, bringing that into the mind. Yeah, I do spirituality, but I do spirituality, but I'm Hindu. That is only good for filling up in the forms. I'm Hindu. That is how the mindset is, and mostly people see temple as an entertainment place. So they see going for either for festivals or any special occasions, and then they say, no, I have seen Mahabharata, and when we're talking with Christians, I'm a Catholic person, but I don't. That's too complicated. It's too complicated to go to church also, right? So I'm not against any faith system, as long as they can love their God infinitely, that's fine with me. But the point is, like, associating with that kind of mindset and giving Krishna, and what comes to my mind also is sometimes because somehow the picture has been painted in such a way in the society itself that this is looked as a religion also. Our Krishna ISKCON, or maybe they may think, okay, this is a sectarian thing, and because we are representing, it's all about dharma and respect. I do understand in my heart, but I mean, how do people, because they see the temple as a source of entertainment, or they have been seeing Mahabharata as some kind of mythology, and they say, I don't have a time because I'm working. I don't have a time to do this. Neither they want to read, they want to find out, but they have a, like, I met yesterday one stranger. He said, I asked, what is his, how old your kid is? Say, okay, he's 3 years. What is his good name? So his name was Dhruva, actually. So I told, oh, your kid name is Dhruva? He's a devotee. So, okay, no, I didn't name after devotee. I name after the pole star. So I told, okay, I'm not going to make my fool out of this, telling you the story of how it became pole star and all, because it's a very short, because the attention span is like 1 or 2 minutes or 3 minutes. In that 3 minutes, if we want to make sure we want to present the full-fledged idea and make sure he has to come back to us for a conversation. Then, I mean, those kind of, like, what are the ISKCON techniques? Because you guys might be widely coming with such experiences. Sorry, it was a long question, but I wanted to give the context right.
No, that's very nice. And I know our time is kind of run out, but just, you always set the best example you can, whatever level of Krishna consciousness you have, and you pray to Krishna for the opportunities to share with a person, like to say a stranger. The other day, I was on Harinam Sankirtan, and I had just read that Prabhupada was talking about, if a person one time chant Hare Krishna, they get so much benefit. So this guy I was talking to, it was like not exactly homeless, just a guy on the street. And I gave him the little on-chanting pamphlet. And on the top is the Hare Krishna mantra. I said, can you say that? Can you say that? He said, so I said, Hare. He went, Hare, Krishna, Krishna. He did the whole mantra. So in my heart, I had prayed for that opportunity to do that. And then Krishna gave me that opportunity to give this man the holy name. Now, what he does with it, I'm not worried about that because he has it. I gave him the holy name. Krishna will take care of the rest. So you try in your own best way, Kalpesh Prabhu, to give people Krishna any way you can, even if you say give them a little pamphlet or give them prasadam, anything, because that benefit is greater than any benefit they may have had up to that point. And in reference to other religions, be respectful. And I'll leave you with a meditation from Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He says, if you find yourself in someone's temple, church, or mosque, you should think like this. Although you may not be able to participate in the function because you don't know the details, you should pray to the Lord as you know him, Krishna, Ram, that my love for you, my Lord, will increase by seeing this person's devotion. Respect people's devotion. Don't minimize it. Oh, they're not devotees, they're not Hindus, they're not Hare Krishna. No. Any level of devotion. And then you set the highest standard possible, because Krishna says in the Gita, chapter 3, text 21, whatever great man does, common men follow. So the most important thing you and I can do is to improve our own spiritual life, devotional service, and then reflect that in our interactions with people. Sometimes you don't have to even say a word. Sometimes just a smile, sometimes just your presence will inspire people to ask you, what do you believe in? Then you can share. So I hope that helps a little bit, but just always be respectful of others, because as I said, everybody, the Lord is there in every person's body. You should respect that person as the temple of the Lord, because the Lord is there. Then your attitude will always be in a different place, and you can help bring others up to that understanding. So I think I'll stop. Shobha Radhe, I'll turn it back to you, if you're still there.
Yes, Prabhu, I'm here. Thank you again. Like Prabhu said, wonderful class and wonderful discussions. A lot of things for us to meditate this morning. We will meet again tomorrow morning at 7:50. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, just a reminder, today's Ekadasi. Just want to remind everyone.
Yes.
Get out. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, everybody.
Thank you very much, Prabhu, for nice class.
Bless you.
Yesterday I went for book distribution too.
Today you going?
Did very little.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Like one person, she didn't even open the door. She said, "Get lost." Ma'am, what did you say, ma'am? She said, "Get lost." I said, "Okay, fine, thank you." But we had good, a little bit.
Wonderful. How do you go?
Namo Namaha.